Well, hello, I'm David Lawson, part of the missions team at Silverdale Baptist Church, and we are glad that you're joining us. Listen, I know you've heard a lot about the disaster in LA, and this has been a season of disasters. The LA fires following the flooding in North Carolina and East Tennessee. Well, today we've got Trenton Mueller joining us from the Abiding Church, one of our world partners, and he is on the front line in LA, and got him away from work just for a few minutes to tell us a little bit about what's going on. Trenton, welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And man, we love Silverdale. I grew up in Chattanooga, for those who don't know that, and my wife went to Silverdale Baptist Academy, and so Silverdale feels like home and like family, and I really love that. But man, it's been a crazy couple weeks out here in LA. I was just looking before this started, the Eaton fire, which is where our part of town is 95% contained, but still active. But it's gone up over the mountain, so most of it is in the not in neighborhoods anymore. But everyone has their perception of these, and I'm sure everyone's seen it on the news, but there's there's another huge active fire going on about 30 minutes north of us right now called Hughes Fire that started yesterday. That's over 10,000 acres. Yeah, we're going to be helping them too. But even though they're about 30 minutes from us, but we have people in our church that live up there in Santa Clarita area who've all evacuated down this way right as our fire's mostly contained. It's been crazy, but the perception can be that when you look on the news and see Palisades fire, you just kind of assume all of LA is that part of town, which is a very wealthy part of town, very expensive homes and famous people. But our part of town is not that. Our part of town is very ordinary, normal American families. The amount of people we've talked to this week who are like, we bought our home 26 years ago on a 30-year mortgage, and our mortgage is $800 and we can't even afford rent in this city now. We don't know what we're going to do. And they have the clothes on their back is a lot. Like, many of these families are not wealthy. They've just lived here a long time, and prices have gone up in LA, but if you moved here 30 years ago, you're not necessarily rich. You just moved here 30 years ago or 25 years ago. So there's so many families that we've heard from through this that, that just don't have any idea how they're going to get through. Even with insurance payouts, the numbers don't all add up with what a lot of insurances are doing. Sure. So our church is just, positioned to help as best we can. But our fire, I believe, should be done. The Eaton Canyon fire should be completely contained. That is, it's not done burning, but contained, hopefully in the next day or two is what they're saying. And then we'll be looking even north to help the fire up the road from us. But it's been crazy.
Let me interrupt just for a moment. I know you're going to be helping in a broad sense, but specifically within your church, what does the need look like? What have your people suffered?
Yeah, so there's a family in our church. There's several families who were displaced from this and had to get hotels for weeks. But one family in particular in our church, their home burnt down, unfortunately, and they even left. They left thinking, we'll be fine. Like, it's up on the hill. We'll be fine, which is most people's story, because LA's had wildfires before. And so almost everyone we're talking to is like, we didn't even grab our computer or our, we grabbed our important documents only and no clothes or no, so the family, Chris and Lauren Fortnall in our church, whose home burnt down, they left with the clothes on their back. And I think a leaf blower is what Chris said. And unfortunately, their home, he was going to give it to another friend who had asked for it. So he's like, I'll grab this as we go. And literally hours later, they're getting a call that their home was gone. And so our church has felt this deeply. This isn't just that we're near this. This is our people who have suffered and who we're committed to helping. but also God has positioned us in this, that locationally, but also in this part of town, in this time, and then with the right relationships. So we have these people of peace in our church who are in the school district in Altadena, and a firefighter, and born and raised there. And so when we got on the phone to start saying what are the needs we want to help, we don't want to just flee the city because of smoke. The influx of needs was beyond what we could bear as a small church plant.
Sure.
But we were like, instead of getting stressed at the expanse of this, let's just start helping one family at a time and one family at a time. And by God's grace, our church has now served and helped and given money to over 100 families as of yesterday. And
one of the things that we had talked about just before this was some of the ways that you were seeing God at work.
Yeah.
Tell us a couple of those stories. Tell us about the same one we had talked yesterday about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when we had our distribution site set up in our church sanctuary, we've been up here for almost 2 years. Our church is 1.5 years old, but I just have been meeting the community, and there's one woman in particular who identifies as a witch, and practices witchcraft and sorcery and crystals. I don't know all what she does, but we've known her. We know who she is, and her and her partner, her guy's house burnt down, and they came to us, and we're just like, we don't have anything. We need help. And I told them, like, our church is committed to helping you for the long haul, not just today, as I'm giving them gift cards. I gave her gift cards, and she just started to cry. And then I hadn't met her partner before, this big muscular guy. And I just looked at him and I said, hey, we will help you for the long haul through this. This is not just for the groceries and the things we were doing. And he started to cry. And I was just able to literally hug people who have no affinity for God, but in these crisis moments, who are they looking to? They're looking to Christians who carry the light of Christ and the hope of Christ. And she actually even, came back and, had multiple times now and has been connecting us with all of her relationships. So she doesn't know it, but she's on her way to being another person of peace for us.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I love that.
But there's one more, because Miss Navarez, who goes to our church, we have mainly been helping her reach her school district. And she has lists that we can't have of victims because of how laws work, but she's allowed to call them because she's a teacher in the school. So she has worked nonstop calling hundreds of families, asking them what they need. And that's what really started our beginning to serve these families. And she was in a staff meeting just the other day, and she got out and called me crying. And she said that they asked every teacher to say, how are you feeling? And then what are you thankful for? In these school districts, one of the schools that burnt down, and then hers that's still standing. And so they broke out into Zoom groups, 30 people in all these groups, hundreds of teachers. Wow. And in her group alone, she's like, Trenton, it's like every other teacher said, we're thankful for Miss Navarez and the Abiding Church because they brought my family supplies. They brought my students gift cards. Wow. They brought and so just even the public witness of the church showing up in this moment is so important. And I was telling you, Pastor David, yesterday on the phone, this is the moment for revival. If we don't show up now, if the church isn't active now, the revival we've been praying for will pass. It won't, it'll either go to someone else or some. I mean, I can't say how God's working, but I do know this is the revival moment. And I'm so thankful for you and for Silverdale for having our back.
Oh, I agree. This is the moment to show the love of Jesus Christ. I remember 9/11. I know that you were awfully young, but churches filled up immediately after 9/11. People were afraid. They were looking for hope. They were grieving and needed to be around other people who were grieving to help process it. But in a lot of ways, I feel like the church didn't respond aggressively enough with the gospel and sufficiently enough to move from curiosity to evangelism to discipleship. Yeah. And before long, that right back to the same pattern. The people were gone.
Yep.
I want Silverdale to be a part of what you're doing, partly because I've known you forever and I love you, and we support you, but I want to see God at work over and over and over. I want to see
Yeah.
the revival explode and just kick into high gear and go everywhere. So,
Same.
man, thank you. I know that two things. One, you committed a significant portion of your church budget to do this. If I remember right, you said everything we bring in this month is going straight to relief.
Victim. Yeah. Yes, sir.
But you stepped out in faith when you said that. So
I felt like the Lord told me to, and then I was like, okay, Lord.
Well, faith comes by hearing.
Yeah.
Hearing by the word of God.
Yes.
So we are doing two things. We're sending your church directly money to help with the budget and all these expenses. But I know there are a couple of other ways that we can help. Tell me about it. How can our church see this and come alongside and help?
Yeah. So the most communication we're doing is through Instagram, but we also, so our Instagram is The Abiding LA, at The Abiding LA. That's our church name. And then we will be doing once a month email letters, updating people on all that we've done. But like on Instagram, we're posting almost every day right now about what God is doing and what we're doing. So those are the two best ways to be involved. And then I think our website, if people want to read more, we have, just theabidingla.com. Again, we're giving away 100% of any dollar raised, this month to people we know. This list of over 100 families now who've lost it all. We're committed to their care in this moment, but also their care 6 months from now when when everyone else has pulled out of our city. And so, so we're hoping to help people for the long haul. I think our website's on the screen there, but
yeah, it is. Our people, Silverdale, can go straight to this website and donate directly to the church.
Yes, sir.
And Silverdale, if you don't know Trenton and you're kind of wondering, well, haven't personally met him, I don't know the situation, I will tell you that the staff at Silverdale totally support Trenton Mueller. He's one of our world partners. We've known him for years. Some of us here on staff watched him grow up, his entire family. This man is full of integrity, and you can trust the Abiding LA Church. You can trust Trenton Mueller. So feel free to go to that website and donate directly. But I want to and pray.
Yes.
Obviously, the single biggest thing any of us can do is pray.
Yes.
And that is vital. And so pray for them, pray for strength, wisdom, discernment as they meet people, as they share the gospel, as they provide these resources. But one last thing, Trenton, in the near future, what about rebuilding teams? I know that one of the things Baptists do well is show up with men and women to do construction projects.
Yeah.
So what might that look like?
Yeah, we have big plans beyond this rapid relief moment we're in. And so by God's grace, Texas Baptist Men, it's called On Mission Texas, is building out infrastructure to partner with our church and another church that has a facility. So they have the facility, but they don't have the young men power and grit. We've got the young men power and grit. And so they're building out beds and building out a way for us to host teams really for the rest of the year.
That's fantastic.
And so we'll be able to host rebuilding teams, especially as we identify the families who were either dropped from their insurance or didn't have insurance or whatever. We identify the families who literally have no hope. Man, if the church can be the one rising to show up for them and meet their needs and love on them, what a testimony and what an open door for the gospel when and when we do that this year. That's going to be the goal. So
Awesome.
Stay tuned for trips.
Good. So our people, Silverdale, pray. You can donate directly to the Abiding Church. Of course, you can donate to Silverdale and designate the Abiding LA or disaster relief, and we'll find a way to connect those dots. And be ready for us to talk about disaster relief mission trips to LA. We're going to go and we're going to help, because there's a witch out there that needs to know she's worshiping the wrong God.
Yeah.
And we are showing her the love of Jesus Christ through Trenton Mueller and Abiding LA.
Yeah.
Man, I love you. Thank you, brother.
Thank you so much.
We better wrap this up. Blessings on you. The Lord has surrounded you with favor, and we're praying for blessing and protection and wisdom, my brother.
Thank you so much, Pastor David.
All
Thank
right.
you, Silverdale, and everyone. It's amazing to feel like, church planting's a lonely game, but it's awesome when you have partners like Silverdale. So
listen, Silverdale, we were joking about this earlier, but we kind of think of you as Silverdale, LA.
I'll take that.
Yeah,
Silverdale West
branch out in LA. Hey, love you, man. You have a great rest of your day.
Yes, thank you.